Number 8. In a section of a calculus class, test scores were randomly selected and the following scores were recorded: 74, 73, 77, 77, 71, 68, 65, 77, 66, or 67 and 66. Assuming the data represents a sample, calculate the following statistics: the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and range. Round to 2 decimal positions if necessary. Okay, so the calculator is going to do pretty much everything here for us. What we need to do is put the data into a list. Oop, I went to the wrong spot. Stat and edit will get us to the list editor. And now we just start putting our data into a list here. And once we have it all in, then we can start doing our calculations. One thing you want to make sure you pay attention to is that we're told that this data represents a sample. And that generally doesn't affect much. In fact, the only one that it does affect is the standard deviation, which would also affect variance if you're calculating variance. So you need to make sure you know if you're doing a sample or a population of data so that you get the correct standard deviation. If it's specified, go with what the specification is. So this is told to us that it's a sample, so of course we'll use a sample. But if it's not specified, just assume that it's a sample. Alright, so let's do our calculations. Under the stat button again, but this time we slide over here to calc, and we want the one-var stats, which is the very first option, and our data is in L1, although you don't have to tell it L1 if it's in that list, because it will default to L1. Press enter and it will do the calculations for us. So we have here the mean is 71.5. Now it's said to round to 2 decimal positions if necessary. Don't round to 71.50 just to make it 2 decimal positions. That's what the if necessary part is. If the decimal went on further than 2 decimals, cut it off at 2, but otherwise just leave it at 1, or however many exists. The median, well, the median, if we go back over here to the calculator, you'll notice the median's not on the first screen, but this down arrow tells you that there's more information. You just have to scroll down to get it. So the median here is 72. Alright, the mode, well, the mode is not given at all on the one-var stats. So we have to get the mode on our own. With a small data set, it's pretty simple. 77 occurs 3 times. That's going to be our mode. Standard deviation. Well, scroll back up here. The SX and the sigma X are both standard deviations. The SX is for a sample, sigma is for a population. Since we were told we were working with a sample, we need to use 4.77. Whoops. Okay. Alright, now the last thing is the range. The range isn't given to us specifically, but we are given what the maximum data entry and the minimum data entry are. And the range is the maximum minus the minimum. So if we just subtract those 2 values, that will give us the range. So the range is 12.